Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Spider NIL Insights. I'm joined today by Associate Director of Student Athlete Success, R.D. Montgomery. RD's focus here at the University of Richmond is in life post graduation, professional developing, um, mentoring, networking, etc. RD played football and basketball at Wake Forest. He then went on, after holding corporate jobs, also coaching college football. So he's been in and around the space for a long time, and certainly knows what he's doing. So RD, thanks for joining today. Really wanted to dive into and get your insights for our student athletes as it relates to personal brand, but more so personal brand in the professional development context. So, with that, I'll start with our first question, which is when you think about personal brand from a career readiness standpoint, what does that mean for a student athlete today?
So for me, in that context, it's very conscious understanding of how you want people in the outside world to see you. How are you presenting yourself to people that may potentially be professional connections or employers? So you don't want people to see your spring break persona. You want them to see like, this is me. This is who RD, who I want you to perceive me to be. I'm a person that either A, you would want to employ, or someone you would have no problem speaking well of in a networking or recommendation uh, scenario.
So when employers are actually looking, investigating, looking into a potential employee and a hire, what is a student athlete's online presence or digital footprint? What is it they're actually looking for um, when they're looking through someone's kind of social media life?
So I would say it's twofold. First, they're looking for a reason to say no. So if things that are on your social media don't fit the culture of the company, or if there's some red flags, like if you have a lot of posts or things with, alcohol or, you know, drugs or something to that effect, that can, put a bad taste in the mouth of the person that may be interested in hiring you. But on the positive side, it also can kind of highlight if you are a culture fit, if you are someone they want to learn more about, because that's just their first introduction to you in that space. The other thing I would probably say is if you have, say, a professional social media account, like say like a LinkedIn, I would be careful with not doing enough. And like you don't want to be perceived as lazy by just having a LinkedIn page that doesn't have a picture, that doesn't have any information about you, and people look you up in a professional capacity and they just go, "Oh, this person may not actually be that serious." So I think those are the two sides of it I would be thinking about, just because you can work yourself out of a job opportunity without even knowing the person is vetting you for a job opportunity just based on what you're posting or even how you're posting. You know what I mean? Like if you're, say, doing an Instagram reel in class when you're supposed to be paying attention, that may present the wrong image to someone who is potentially interested in you for a professional opportunity. Or if you're doing something that's great with social media and presenting yourself in a positive light, if you're doing volunteer work or your your social media is extremely professional, that could also win you some opportunities. So
Awesome. Um, so you mentioned, kind of developing your LinkedIn profile. Any other kind of proactive steps you could take to when it comes to, your online digital footprint to help you achieve your professional goals?
yeah, there's a couple. So first things first, if you have an idea of something that you're interested in, I would try to promote that in your social media. Like if you were, and I'm just using this as a hypothetical, if you were wanting to be like a sports broadcaster, I would have social media that is following other sports broadcasters to see what they're doing, how they're presenting themselves. And then if I have the opportunity, maybe go to a game and like do some amateur broadcasting work, or a lot of people do clips, something like that. Also, I would look up and have some understanding of the various companies that are out there that I'm interested in. I would follow their social media presence. I would follow their, recruiters or their CEOs just to see. It's very easy to have an idea of these companies, but if you're following what they're putting out there, it could potentially let you know, like, hey, maybe this isn't a place that I want to pursue further. Or, you know what? I like what the CEO is saying. I love what the mission statement is and all of the things that they're putting out there on their social media. That is a place I'd love to learn more about. And when it comes to networking, using social media to look up people who potential connections at companies that you're interested in, or if you're looking at grad school or whatever it may be, you can look these people up. So now you have some insight, and then you can reach out to them to help you get connected with those companies. The other thing, if you're going into an interview, you can look up people through their social medias, and for something as simple as, is there any kind of like personal connection or anything we have in common that I could bring up in the interview? Like you said, I went to Wake Forest. If I look up and I'm about to interview with somebody and find out they went to Wake Forest or an ACC school, that's a thing I know I'm going to bring up in our conversation for an interview, just to break the ice and make it a little bit more warm of a conversation. It may not lead to like that particular comment may not lead to more opportunity, but it can help in the conversation as we're building up in the interview and make me feel a little bit more at ease. So that's a way I think you can use that digital footprint, that presence, to just do some research and then present yourself the way you're seeing people in that space presenting themselves.
Great. Um, this next question doesn't have to be limited solely to kind of online or digital presence, but what are some common mistakes you see student athletes make when they're presenting themselves professionally?
So I feel like this is probably two sides of the same coin, but I think sometimes people, student athletes especially, because they may not have as much work experience, are fearful that they don't know enough. When in actuality, a lot of these places that you're interested in, they don't really want you to know everything because they want to train you in the way the particular organization does things. So I think sometimes people can be a little bit trepidatious, little SAT word, um, when they feel like, oh, I haven't had a lot of professional experience in this space. I'm just interested. And I think that can be harmful to them because they're not willing to take the leap and take a chance. So they may miss an opportunity because they're psyching themselves out of it. And then on the flip side, being a know-it-all, like you don't want to go into a professional opportunity over, not I don't even say over prepared, but like speaking as if you're the expert, when like very often you can speak that way and the people who are in fact experts know you don't know what you're talking about, so you could kind of shoot yourself in the foot. So I think th- those those presentations themselves, you kind of have to find a happy balance in between, because you don't want to be so worried about not knowing enough that you don't take a shot, and you don't want to be so confident or overconfident in yourself that you're shooting your shot on things that are necessarily out of your reach professionally, or turning someone off who is trying to get to know you by being a little bit of a know-it-all in the space that they're already operating in. So I think those two right there are common mistakes that you'll see people make. And it's, again, it's difficult to find that balance. And I think sometimes you have to do one or the other to get knocked down and go, oh, okay, I should probably adjust my strategy a little bit.
Totally. Um, Final question for you. If
Mhm.
a student athlete only has a few minutes each week to work on their personal brand, more so working on their personal brand as it supports what they want their professional identity to be,
Mhm.
or what they can do to help from a professional development standpoint, present in a way that's going to potentially help them gain employment. Where should they focus their energy?
I would say the first thing, if you only have a couple of minutes, it's really just exploring your interests. And then, like, I usually kind of whittle it down to 5 to 7 uh, things that you may be interested in as you're pursuing professional opportunities, as you're trying to build your personal brand. Because um, very frequently, especially in school, you're so busy as an athlete, you're so busy in class that you're not really thinking about, like, hey, what am I actually interested in values wise, right? Because like I think it's a trap to think I know specifically I'm going to do X, and I think it's worthwhile to think about values and just actually write it down and dig below the buzzwords you hear, because a lot of times you will hear, cliches, and you think you know what they mean, but you actually don't. And being able to kind of dig beneath that and understand, like a good example I would say is like communication. Communication can mean anything. Communication can mean I like writing, newsletters for, the company, or I like speaking in front of 1,000 people. So like understanding what you mean and what the idea of communication is. And then kind of pursuing people who are doing those things. And it could be people you don't know who are doing it publicly that you can follow, like social media and, YouTube and all the stuff. And even especially at like a place like Richmond, where we have professionals on campus that are doing a lot of the things that our student athletes are interested in. Once you discover what that interest is, now you can kind of look and follow the people that are doing those things and learn what they're doing, how they got to where they are, and how you can apply that to what you're doing. You know what I mean? You don't, I think learning from other people's past, their mistakes and their successes, is something that we could take more advantage of as we're building that personal brand. Because a lot of times when you talk to people, they don't know what that first step is to start that journey. So as you're, kind of pulling together, what are your interests, what are your likes, things that you want to pursue, then you could take that step and go, all right, Mark's doing something that I think is interesting and I'd like to learn more about. Maybe I go have a conversation with Mark. Or, if you're writing blogs or have a Instagram page or something like that, then you could follow. Like I personally, since I'm working in the student development space, I'm connected to a lot of other university student development people. So if they do something cool, networking wise, or a mentorship program or something like that, then I could piggyback and maybe try and attempt it at the University of Richmond. If it doesn't fit the personality or the space of what we're doing, then maybe not. But I can have that in the bank, so I don't have to just create everything out of whole cloth. I can kind of quote unquote steal from other people. So I think that is a thing that you could do just a couple minutes every week. It doesn't have to be hours and hours and hours of work, but just be intentional. Hey, this is the thing I'm interested in. Here's that I want to learn more about in this space, and then go ahead and pursue that.
Awesome. Well, RD, thank you for your time today. I know you're about to catch a flight with several of our teams as we speak for a professional
Yeah,
development event in New York. So good luck and enjoy and safe travels.
absolutely. Hey, man, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
All right, so long. Thanks.
Yeah.